Robert Kiyosaki told me this. It changed my life forever. What's up, guys? My name is Brian Tran, serial entrepreneur based right here in the San Francisco Bay Area, where I own multiple 6- and 7-figure businesses. And in this video, I want to share with you how Robert Kiyosaki literally changed my life for the better. Let's get right into it. I was actually introduced to Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, at a very young age. You see, I was born into a family where I'm the youngest of 8. So my oldest brother was actually, I think, maybe 30 years old at the time. And he brought home this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. I was probably in elementary school. I don't know the exact age. I think I was maybe in the 3rd grade. And I just read it. He goes, read this book. And this is a time before iPads and all that stuff. I don't even have I think we had a Game Boy, but somebody else had it. My brother probably took it. So I just picked up the book and I started reading it. I understood nothing, right? I remember seeing the box that said income goes in, and then it has to go to your assets, and then asset pays for expenses. And I was like, okay, cool. I think that makes sense. Didn't really get it. But I reread the book again at 10, and then again in high school, and then again in senior year, and I just kept picking it up and I kept reading it. And that same graph, that same income into asset pays for your expenses and all your liabilities, that graph stuck out to me. And that has changed the way that I buy anything. Look, guys, it's very easy to go out there, make money, and start buying everything. And I remember very clearly him saying, your house is not an asset, it is a liability. And the simple concept, at a young age, he made it so easy to understand. An asset is something that puts money in your pocket. A liability is something that takes money out. That was the one concept that literally just so simple, but we all make the mistake of buying all this crap, right? So that one lesson has allowed me to generate and make multiple 6- and 7 figures. Why? Because by investing in assets, in year 1, your asset may not throw off that many cash flow, right? But if you continue to buy more assets and more assets, eventually the fountain of cash flow gets bigger and bigger. And you don't always have to trade your time for money. Check it out. Now, assets come in many forms. And I want to talk to you guys about some of the assets that I invested in. And some of them aren't very traditional. So when you hear of assets, you're probably thinking of properties, right? Rental properties, am I right? But let me tell you something. The first asset that I invested in was not real estate. You want to guess what it was? Right here, guys. Education. I invested in things that were gonna upgrade my skills. I was a salesperson. I was a realtor. I invested in a coach. That is a form of an asset. But sometimes, guys, if you take the concept too literal, it's not throwing off any cash flow. It's not throwing off instant value. But this asset, guys, this asset right here, of which I was investing in, was going to pay off big. But it didn't happen in year 1. It didn't happen in year 2. It was slow, very slow, right? I didn't become a master overnight. I just got better and better, little by little, until one day I looked back and I realized how far I have grown. That one asset, guys, has made me multiple millions of dollars. Now let's talk about some other assets I invested in. While my friends were out going to EDC, I've never been to EDC. I've never been to some of these big parties. I've never been to Vegas and blew $10, $20, $15,000, right, on bottle service, the Coca-Cabana. I took that money, I saved it, and I bought a rental property. And while they were having a lot of fun, I was dealing with headaches. I get it, and I was only making a couple $100 cash flow. Today, that one property throws off 10 grand a month. Crazy how it works. But by investing in the assets, over time, it gets bigger, it compounds. Now, these assets can pay for my Bentley, pays for all the vacations, the business class, but I still have to be careful not to blow too much. Why? Because you still gotta invest in more assets, guys. Less liabilities, more assets. That is what Robert Kiyosaki taught me at a very young age. The next thing that he taught me, and this is why it's important that you go back and you reread books, because sometimes, depending on where you are at what stage in your life, different concepts will make sense to you or they won't. But now, when I look back at his book, the first concept was understanding assets and liabilities and the flow of money. The next concept that I started to understand later on, when I opened up my first business, there are 4 types of businesses. Cash flow quadrants, I believe he calls it. You have the worker bees, self-employed, business owners, and investors. I probably mixed them all up, but you get it, right? Don't start a business to basically create a job for yourself. Create and build a business that will run on its own and pay you. It didn't make a lot of sense to me, right? Until actually about a year or 2 ago, when I realized that some of my companies were only running because of me. Without me, it wasn't a business. I basically created a job for myself. But with the VA Hub, we put the right people, the right leadership, and we were just the owners. And now that company runs, whether I'm in it or not. That was a true business. That allowed me to really open my eyes and discover that this is how the ultra wealthy does it. They don't work in the business. They just own it. Warren Buffett owns a good portion of Coca-Cola. As an investor, he makes more money than the CEO of the company. Who would have known? So the message of the cash flow quadrant taught me that I need to get out of working in the business and start moving my way into the investor. That was the next big message that is still applying to my life today. So guys, that's how Robert Kiyosaki changed my life. I hope this helps you guys. If you haven't read his book, which I find it hard to believe, it's a real easy book to read, very quick. I love the concept, has lots of graphs. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what other topics you guys want me to dive deep into. Leave a comment, hit the subscribe button, and thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.